Crookie, for you, listen, we saw a glimpse of a lot of the youngsters. You know, we saw Harry Amas making his Premier League debut. What a fantastic birthday present for him at 18 years of age. We saw Toby Collier on the pitch. We saw Chido Obi on the pitch. And, of course, worryingly, we saw Aiden Heaven taken off of the pitch on a stretcher, but was having a fantastic game before that. Firstly, Crookie, any idea or info on sort of when we can expect him back? And have we seen a little glimpse into the future, though, just with the youngsters that we're seeing making appearances at the minute?
Yeah, I think we have, and I think this was always going to be the case towards the back end of the season. I think when you look at where Manchester United are in terms of the Premier League, they can afford to experiment a little bit and give youth a chance. And then you look ahead to the summer. I don't think there's going to be hundreds of millions of pounds to spend. Obviously, there's going to be some departures which will free up funds, but I think part of Amorim's remit is going to be to blood the youngsters and get them into the first team, and he's certainly not been afraid to do that. I feel really sorry for Heaven. I don't have a formal update yet, but it didn't look great, did it? I'll try and find out over the next couple of days exactly the severity of that injury. Obviously, a lot of the players have gone away on international duty. Ruben Amorim won't face the media for a couple of weeks now, but I thought his cameo against Arsenal was really impressive, and he sort of picked up where he left off there, the King Power. United have had rotten luck with injuries this season, particularly in those defensive positions, and I hope that the injury to Heaven is not as bad as it looked. I like Collier. I like his energy. I think he brings something a little bit different in midfield, and I know the football club are really big admirers of Amas. It's taken a long time actually to get him in and around the first team. Eric Ten Hag seemed reluctant to use him at the start of the season, but I expect him to get more minutes between now and May as well.
Quickly for you, are we improving? Are we turning a corner? We're very cautious because we've had an awful season, right? But has there been things that you've seen in the last, 4 games, maybe last couple of months, maybe, I don't know. Have you seen an improvement in this team?
Yeah, and I'm hesitating because
that was so hesitant, just creeped up.
Whenever we get excited, the next smack in the face is only around the corner.
Yeah.
But I think you've got to look at it now as a string of performances in succession, which has been difficult for many a Manchester United manager to find that level of consistency. I thought the first leg away from home in Real Sociedad, probably we should have won that game. We were certainly the dominant force for the first hour. Second half against Arsenal, I thought we were excellent. And again, but for some wasteful finishing, would have won that one. Second leg against Sociedad, obviously a nightmare start. We've come back and blown them away. And I know it's only Leicester, but it was a very competent, very confident Manchester United performance. So I think slowly but surely, this is a team who look like they're starting to understand what the manager wants them to do. They're starting to understand their jobs, and they're starting to become more confident in the system. And when it comes to the latter weeks of the season, I think the omens are good. I think the signs are positive for the Europa League. I expect us to beat Lyon over 2 legs. The semi-final is going to be more difficult, but I think Angelina might just get that trip to Bilbao. And,
you want the trip as well, Crookie.
I was going to say, we'll all be there.
You love a little jolly as well.
We'll have a little meet up in Bilbao. Joe, for you, back to Aiden Heaven, actually, I wanted to discuss him because he was really good before that injury. It was almost like it was one of those, you just go, I just feel so sorry for you, kid. You just don't deserve it. You're playing so well. Cameo against, not even a cameo, 45 minutes against Arsenal, solid.
Yeah.
You know, gets the nod in the Sociedad game at home, which at the time, that's do or die for us. That's win or bust. Our biggest game of the season at that point. Gets trusted over the experienced Victor Lindelof, gets his first Premier League start just after that. How good is he looking, and what a snippet, 1.5 million. Thank you, Hale End.
Yeah, I mean, and wasn't that just like a compensation fee as well?
Yeah.
I don't think we actually gave them like a transfer fee. It was basically a free deal that, because of his age and circumstances, we had to give him a bit of money. But he's been brilliant, and he's just got that thing of like, I'm not worried about him. Yeah. I'm worried about his injury, obviously, but when he's playing, I don't think, it's the new lad, or it's, the young kid. I just think, Heaven's got the ball, Heaven's passed the ball. Someone's going one-on-one with him, always took it off him. And I just, he's got a few attributes, I think, physically that are impressive. I think his height is, you notice it straight away when he's playing. He's a big guy, he's very tall. Obviously, he'll fill out a bit as he gets older, but his pace, he's not maybe electric, rapid pace, but he's quick. Someone almost got past him the other day for Leicester, and he turned around and got a foot back, which used that combination of height and pace as well. But more than that, it's on the ball where he impresses me. he's just so cool and composed. And I think he used to play as a midfielder up until quite recently, which maybe explains that passing ability and the confidence on the ball. When you think about a modern defender who can use that level of pace to go out wide and defend in the wings like Amrim likes his outside centre-backs to do, he's got everything. And it's such a shame, like I said, that injury, which was just a freak injury, stepping, trying to get the ball and someone basically falls through his ankle. Hopefully it's nothing too serious. And I think he walked out of Old Trafford with a boot, didn't he? So the boot bit isn't great, but the walking bit's pretty good. So hopefully it'll be, we'll see him before the end of the season. But like I said, already I just think, Aiden Heaven's here, that's fine.
Yeah, and that's the biggest compliment you can give to a young player. Angelina, back to the strikers, because we did touch on Rasmus Hojlund a little bit ago, and we'll bring Crookie in on this in a sec. The striker search.
Yeah.
Joshua Zirkzee is a self-proclaimed 9.5. He's starting to find form and some consistency in this number 10 role. We maybe didn't think we'd see that. Some links to, of course, they're always there. Victor Osimhen, Victor Gyökeres, Benjamin Sesko, Hugo Ekitike, I saw was the latest one. Some people have been discussing, Danny Welbeck. Could we get him in Mateta and just as a stopgap? Where do Man United go in terms of the type of striker they need to try and go after versus, of course, we might not be in the Champions League, so that, seriously affects who we can actually go and get.
It's a tough one because you have heard that Ineos are being quite strict with the age bracket that they're looking for. I think as a stopgap, getting somebody who, is over 28, who can give a season or two, can give some experience. I think they need to decide what they're actually going to do with Rasmus Hojlund. They've spent, 72 million on this kid. Are they going to stick with him, or is it a case of they want to move him on?
If they do stick with him, should it be is it stick with him and he learns off somebody else? Or
this is what I'm thinking. So if they decide, we spent all this money on this kid, let's just give him, the best possible chance. I think bringing someone in who's a little bit older, who takes the pressure off him, he's not having to start every game, having someone that he can learn from. Because I guess when you think about it, had the Ronaldo thing not have gone as messy as it did, if he'd have stayed a little bit longer, that could have been someone that he'd have learned from, but obviously it didn't happen. So I think bringing somebody in like that would work. I mean, the person everyone is talking about is Alexander Isak, but you have to be realistic when you look at that. It's not happening. When you look at his options in general, I mean, Real Madrid aren't going to have him. Barcelona can't afford him. Can't see him going to Syria. Bayern Munich have got Harry Kane. It's kind of Premier League clubs for him, and unfortunately, he's 26? He would want to be joining a club where in the next year or two you're going to be winning trophies. And unfortunately, there's no guarantees of that. No guarantees of Champions League football. In an ideal world, that is the kind of player that you would have in. But I think they need to... The future of Rasmus Hojlund is going to be really important in this. And maybe it is a case of they bring someone in who's a little bit older, they both play, builds Hojlund's confidence up. We have someone who's going to assure us of X amount of goals, and then maybe they continue the search as well for somebody if it does seem like Hojlund just doesn't really have it, which I don't like being negative, but just because he scored that one goal, I'm not convinced with him.
Crookie, Angelina's sort of finishing off there saying still not convinced. Yes, it's a great goal, but she said he's been very streaky, not a reliable goal scorer, which again, his age and stuff, I get that. Do you think Man United should be looking to still retain Rasmus Hojlund and add to that, or do you think if the right amount came in, you look to cash in on that and go in a different direction altogether and get two strikers? How are you seeing this playing out in the summer, Crookie?
Well, first and foremost, I think he took his goal really well. He didn't finish that opportunity like someone who'd not scored for 20 games. So I was pleased for him. You could see the relief in his celebrations, but as I say, excellent finish. I think he'll move on at the end of the season. I think there's interest from Italy. I think Ineos and Ruben Amorim are not necessarily convinced that he's the man to lead the line moving forward. And I think of those list of names that you've read out, and Ekitike has been played down to me today. I'm not sure he's in any desperate rush to leave his current club. I think Osimhen is the most likely because I think he's going to be available for the type of price that United can afford. I think his wage demands have come down from where they were a year ago. Obviously, he's been playing in Turkey. And I think he has that proven pedigree. So it wouldn't surprise me if Hojlund goes back to Italy and there's interest in the likes of Napoli, I'm told, from Serie A, and Osimhen comes in the opposite direction.
Back to the squad and sort of the glimmers of improvement that we're seeing. Yeah. Another one we're really starting to see, I don't know what you think, is Matthias de Ligt. I think he's really started to knuckle down, show that he isn't this, again, fake narrative. I remember on episode 1 of the Inside Devils, we were talking here and I was going in on De Ligt basically saying, or people going in on him saying, listen, it's fake news that Eric Dyer played all the games ahead of him. He couldn't. It's just not true.
It's a lie.
It's just lies. He played over 100 games for Juve. Like, he's been ever present in these teams. I get he might not have kicked on to the level he might have wanted to, but this like notion that since he's left Ajax, he's been washed. And it's not, and now we're seeing a competent defender, fantastic block from Buonanotte against Leicester City on Sunday night. But what have you made of him and how he's been doing?
I think he's been really good all season. Like I honestly, like, how many bad games he had? The one game that stands out for me where I thought, oh, he looked a bit ropey there, I thought the away game against Porto, where they kind of went through him and Martinez a little bit too easy. I thought there's maybe some pace issues there, I'm not sure. But other than that, I don't even think the Liverpool game he was particular. I think he's been a really good player almost every game this season. And that's more than you can say for most players at United. And like you said, this whole thing of he didn't play for Bayern Munich, just not true.
Annoying.
He's literally started almost every game he's been fit since he's about 17 years old, for every club he's been at. Like, that's just the fact. He plays all the time. And injuries are the thing that stops him playing, not his manager not picking.
We saw it last year when Bayern were in that two-legged the semis of the Champions League. And against Real Madrid. And he played in one at centre back, and then I think Dyer came in from in the second leg or the first leg, whichever one. Because he was injured, Thomas Tuchel wanted to play him.
It's literally just come about to try and have a go at him. And like you said, it's because when he was 19 and he was captain of Ajax, people were thinking he's going to be one of the great centre backs of all time. That was the path he was on. And then because he's not quite become the best centre back ever, people go, well, he must be terrible then. Because when you fail against your reputation or your potential, you must be bad. But he's still one of the better centre-backs in the Premier League. I think he's been our most consistent centre-back. Obviously, Martinez has been good, but injuries, and everyone else has been in and out with injuries as well. He's the one that's been there almost every week, putting in great performances.
Different partners.
Yeah, different partners all the time. And now it's like, oh, because we've won a few games, now people are looking back at the whole season going, it's actually been quite good. But you should be able to see that even in a bad performance, where if someone does well, and De Ligt tends to do well all the time, you can still give him credit as the season goes on, but I'm glad at least now a lot of people are starting to see it as well, because he barely puts a foot wrong, and he's putting in like 7.5s or 8s or 8.5s every single week. I think he's a great player.